Bellator 272. Welcome to New England. Is this your first time in New England?
Yes, it is. I've been around different cities before. I think it's my, I don't know, 10th time in the States or something, but never been here before.
How was the travel for you?
It's been fine. So I actually spent 3 weeks in Las Vegas before I traveled over here. So it wasn't that big of a time difference now coming here. Like from Sweden, it's obviously longer.
Right. So I understand that your roots are centered in karate.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about your beginning in martial arts and how it became MMA.
Yeah, so actually I was born into this because my parents were operating a karate dojo, and my older brother, who's 2 years older than me, he started basically as soon as he could walk. So it was the whole family's kind of business thing. And for me, at the beginning, it was not going to training. It was going to my parents' work. So I put the gi on, I go and do the kicks and punches, but I didn't put any effort into it. And it wasn't until I think when I became a teenager and we started competing, and I just lost every time, losing, and I realized, oh man, I need to put in some discipline and some effort to actually win this. So that's really when my training took off, and our martial art dojo grew into a big center, and we added like kickboxing, Thai boxing, BJJ, and I started venturing into these other disciplines. And eventually MMA became the biggest thing, and I saw other successful karate practitioners like Lyoto Machida and George St. Pierre being successful. And taking inspiration from that, I wanted to try my skills as well in MMA.
Have you heard of karate combat?
Yeah.
Have you ever considered something like karate combat?
Or
is your heart with MMA now?
No, Karate Combat has been trying to sign me for 2 years.
Oh,
And I went to their last event. And my brother has done a video log about that. We snuck in. Yeah, it was pretty fun. But the thing is, like, they're not into collaborating. So I know some fighters can do like kickboxing and MMA at the same time. But I mean, both organizations have to be cool with that.
Right.
And I think from Bellator's side, that would be cool because I don't see them as competitors. I think they draw different audience and can only build each other up. So I would be open to doing both. But yeah, we'll see what the future holds. I think Karate Combat is super cool.
Yeah. But right now you are in fight week. You're getting ready for Bellator MMA
Yes.
this Friday, Mohegan Sun. Let's talk a little bit about your opponent, Kyle Crutchmer. Are you the type of fighter that likes to study footage? Have you been watching a lot of him?
I think it's dumb not to do it because it's out there, but I also think you shouldn't be too attached to it because every fighter evolves after each fight, and he's not going to be the same as in his last fight. None of his previous opponents have been Oliver Enkamp, so he's obviously put up a game plan against me, so he's not going to fight the same this time. But you can see some tendencies, what he likes to do and how he moves, and is he passive, is he aggressive, is he, and you can get some cues from that and start to build an idea of how he might fight. And you train for that, and then when it's fight night, you gotta let everything go and just, fight empty-minded so your body can adapt to whatever happens.
Last question. I understand that you live by a certain lifestyle. I don't want to say it wrong. Bushido?
Yeah, that's correct.
Bushido. Tell us a little bit about that and how that helps you stay centered as a martial artist.
Yeah, so Bushi is the Japanese word for warrior, and Do means the way. So it's basically the way of the warrior. And I think this is something that everyone with a traditional martial art background really values. It means that living this way is the difference. For example, being a fighter and a martial artist, to me, is the Bushido code. So the martial artist, he can be humble but ruthless at the same time. He can be confident without being cocky. So respect and humility are two cornerstones of the Bushido. And you're supposed to be a good guy, but that doesn't mean that someone can push you around. So I like to say, like, you have a devil and an angel on your shoulder, but when you know Bushido, you can choose when to take out which. So most of the time, like every day, I'm the angel, but when fight night comes, I can take out the devil if I want to. So in my mind, this is like a super strength, and I think anyone can value from it, even though you're not competing. Like just doing martial art really forms your character.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
You said that martial arts, that this is a very personal martial arts journey for you. Do you mean that physically, mentally, emotionally? Could you just expand upon what you meant by that? That's a journey for you.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is. You have the word in there, art, martial art, right? So I view myself as an artist, not an athlete or a fighter, you know. And an art form can never be complete. It's always developing, always getting better. And that's also what drives me to keep doing this, because I know in MMA I will never be fully learned. There's always going to be someone who's a better boxer or kicker or wrestler or jiu-jitsu guy. So I can always try to, you know, improve something. And that really sparks my motivation to keep evolving and keep getting better. And as a martial artist, it's not that important to me the result of each fight. As long as I feel I get better and I improve, it's a win to me.
I don't know if you know this, but years ago, Meryl Streep controversially said that mixed martial arts is not an art. She said that during an award ceremony. I'm just curious to know, what do you think about people who have that negative view of MMA?
I think they probably never tried a martial arts, so they don't really know what they're talking about. I wouldn't go talking about politics or stocks or, you know, something car mechanics know of, because that's not my expertise. And unless you've done it for a long time and really know what you're talking about, I think you're better off not talking at all.
So let's talk about the fight. How are you preparing for this fight? Have you studied footage of Kyle? Has there anything your training camp been different, or is it kind of the same?
The big difference in this fight compared to my previous camps has been that I divided my camp back in Sweden and here in the United States. Because traveling takes a toll on your body, and we have the time zones and everything, and I wanted to be well adjusted. So I flew here a month in advance, and I did my training, not here in Connecticut, in Vegas, where I have my management and a lot of contacts from previous trips. So that has been way different because of the training routines, training partners, and it has been very motivational for me, actually, because as I said in a previous interview, back home I have like 5 pros that I train with. So if one guy is homesick or at work, that's 20% of my training partners gone. And here there's like 50 pros on the mats, so you can just pick and choose, and it's also high level, you know, Bellator, UFC, PFL, and it really motivates me being in this environment.
How do you see this fight going in your favor? So when we talked to Kyle before, he said that he's the type of fighter that you haven't fought before, and he said he's well prepared against any type of grappling or submission that you might have. So how do you see this fight going?
Yeah, well, the same goes for him. He hasn't fought anyone like me before, and I think I have more ways of finishing this fight. So he might be like strong and explosive with his wrestling, but you're not finishing anyone with your wrestling. What finishes fights are knockouts and submissions, you know, in my professional debut, I got suplexed by a wrestler. I ended up upside down, and I caught him in an inverted triangle and choked him out. So, I mean, I can pull off a finish from anywhere. And we have seen this both on the feet and on the ground.
So, one of the few fighters who does have a submission by a Japanese Peruvian necktie.
Japanese necktie,
Japanese necktie,
correct,
yes.
yeah, my last fight.
And so, if you win this fight, do you definitely feel like you should go up in the rankings? Would you like a higher ranked opponent after that? What is your goal after this fight?
Yeah, I expected to fight someone up on the rankings this time, actually. But to me, it honestly doesn't really matter who I fight, as long as it's a big name that's going to get a lot of eyes on it. And I didn't know Kyle before I got the matchup, but then I looked him up. I see he has a big following because he's known in the wrestling community. And so there's going to be a lot of people watching this fight, and that's also good for me.
Listen, Oliver, obviously coming into the States, what has it been like, seeing the culture change from Sweden and coming into the States? So
first time I got here, like, I think 9 years ago, it was much of a culture shock, because I'd say Sweden is more, and actually I'm from Sweden, but my family is Finnish, and Finland, right next to Sweden, is a very introvert culture, and this is a very extrovert culture. So that was like a big difference. But I like this environment. So like right now during my fight camp, I've been staying in a fighter house where a lot of different fighters live. And you know, someone can come into the door like 8 p.m. and just hang out, and there's no locks in the door. This would never happen in Sweden. And I think it's just a super cool environment because everyone's so, you know,